Let me bang. I do let you bang. Hey, let me bang you, man. I let you bang. I let you bang. Greetings, marriage and virgins.
Go for Jesus. No forget Jesus, people.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for your favorite mixed martial arts podcast. Recording out of Los Angeles, California, it's MMA Roasted with Adam Hunter.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
What's up, people? We got a brand new MMA Roasted Podcast. We're here with Bill Dawes. Sorry for the weird schedule this week. Ween Dog is out of town. He has a new job, by the way. And by the way, everyone asking where Ween Dog is, he does our sound. He's the one that puts all the stuff up and editing. He just has a new job that takes him out of the podcast, but he's on vacation this week. So I recorded two, but they're both going to go up Friday, which is always great. When you a great time to put up a podcast is Friday night when everyone's doing stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's hard because it's like there's so many great fights this weekend, and we want to talk about them and go over them. But it's like I don't want to do a podcast and put it up next week, and because then people are like, well, what do you guys think of the fights? So I figured we'll just talk about the fights and then put it up Friday. And if you watch the show on Monday or Tuesday, whatever. Nice house, by the way, Bill. Nice kitchen.
Thank you, man. I just bought it.
Really?
No.
Oh, are you in Texas?
No, I'm in San Jose.
Oh, nice. You doing the improv with Piven?
No, I'm on my way to Reno and I'm visiting my daughter.
Oh, there you go. Nice. Your daughter who goes to Berkeley, who's like killing it.
Yeah, she's graduated Berkeley, and now I don't know what she does. She works at a theater in Berkeley,
Like a play theater or like a movie theater?
Yeah,
or?
Curtains or something. I have no.
Oh, that's good. I'm happy you guys spent $200,000 on college education for her to work at a theater. That's exactly. I mean, because that's why you go to school, right? For 4 years, you can get out and work at a movie theater.
What's funny? In college, I said, don't worry about because she had a double degree of like neuroscience and cognitive engineering and some shit. I was like, just do what you want. So of course, then she turned it into like lesbian dance theory and like theater, and now she's open up curtains. Dude,
I remember I took like a women's studies class when I was like 19 years old, and I'm sitting there. I was at college in New York. It was basically like. It was like the worst college. I forgot the college it was. It was on like, I was one of the schools in New York. I don't even know I don't even know what college I went to. That's how important this college was. I went to Binghamton. I went to Hofstra. Hunter College. It's my last name. Hunter College, right? And it was like, I took a theater class. People were heckling during the theater class. It was like the Apollo. People were like, wrong, yelling at you. I never even got my grades because I still owe them money. I thought it was because I didn't return a library book. I have no idea if I even passed Hunter College. I went for one semester. I have no idea if I passed these classes or not. I called them up.
Around so much?
Because I went to Binghamton and then I wanted to become an actor and a comedian. So I went to Hofstra. I was living in Long Island and I was just going to New York every day. So I was like, fuck it, I got to go to school in New York. That way I could and then when I got there, I was just doing comedy every night and not really paying attention and then, but the school itself was like, it was kind of I didn't think it was that good of a school, to be honest. And I remember taking a women's studies class though. And like the topic was like, why do women not make as much money as men? And I was like, well, they don't need to because the men are buying them things. Right. And like, dude, everyone, I almost got kicked out of the class, like right within 3 seconds, like my first and last class, dude, it was crazy. It's
probably the most profound statement on feminism you could have said at the time.
It was crazy. But I was thinking about going back to college a couple times and I'm like, I should just get my degree. I have 1 year left. And I called up to school and I'm like, hey, I graduated from Hunter College I was there for a semester, never graduated, but I never got my report card. Is it because of a library book? I'll just buy the book. It's 26 years later, right? And they're like, no, it's because you didn't pay. It's $1,200. You still owe us $1,200 or something. And I was like, fuck. It's like I don't think I passed these classes. I have no idea if I passed these classes or not. So
you could just tell people you graduated and put it on your resume. Who's checking this shit?
Nobody's checking. Checking.
Hey, Ron is going around saying you graduated Georgetown Law. No, he didn't.
Who did?
It's like, hey, Ron.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't graduate from law. Just say it. People believe you.
Man, it's crazy. It's crazy. So what else is going on, man? How's your week been?
My week has, I did one of those Netflix is a joke shows.
Yes.
Which, like any show, basically, that you're on in LA is a Netflix is a joke show.
I know. I was like, I'm like, that's what I did at the Improv. I'm like, well, does everyone have Netflix? Is that the whole thing? Like, what is this going on Netflix? Like, no. I'm like, okay, so aside from the thing behind you, I actually wanted to go, I did the Dime Bar. I wanted to put like Hulu as a joke, like behind me. And be like, I'm doing the Hulu Joke Festival. But yeah, it's ridiculous. There were a couple people from Netflix there, I guess. But I'm like, what do you do at Netflix? The lady's like, I work this, but they told me to just go to the comedy shows. I was like, yeah.
Apparently there's one person at the Laugh Factory from Netflix, but also they're not like, a white, straight male comic. We need more.
I don't want to talk about that. Well, are you following the Johnny Depp trial?
Some. Is Amber Heard testified yet?
Yes. And she went yesterday and she went on and on about, about how he slapped her in the face. She asked him about his tattoo, the Winona, because he had that Winona Forever tattoo. And then he changed it to
Wino Forever.
Wino. And she started laughing at him. So he smacked her like 3 times or something. And then she was like, it seemed like she was crying, but tears weren't coming out. And then, so she was like wiping away fake tears maybe. And every comment on Twitter, like on the thing, like, and the worst actress goes to Aquaman, take her out. Like they're literally like, I'm like, Jesus, like, I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. It did seem like Johnny Depp did a lot of drugs and a lot of alcohol and maybe doesn't even remember doing the shit he did. It does seem though, like based on the transcripts of people recording each other, she admits to, I didn't punch you. I just hit you. Right. It does seem like she admits to hitting him. He never admitted to doing this. So I don't know what the fuck happened. But also like he gave her like $14 million. She said she gave like $2 million to the ACLU. And then they came up and said, no, we never got the money. Yeah. And then Elon Musk is the one who gave the money to her instead of him. The whole thing it's bananas. It's crazy. Yeah. It just goes to show you that like 1 minute, you got the woman of your dreams. Next minute, she's shitting on your bed. There's got to be, but there were all these flags. I guess
still a dream, right? So there you go. Still
they were only together 15 months, too.
Wow.
Like the whole thing.
Didn't he leave his wife and kids for her? Didn't she like on top of it?
I don't know, man. Boy? She must be. Allegedly he grabbed her vagina and spun her around and made him blow her and all this.
Let's be honest.
Keeps getting crazier. Meanwhile, my friend from high school, good friend from high school was the psychiatrist in it. Shannon.
Whoa. Oh, that's right. Post about that.
Yeah, I know. I got but like literally I'm like, Shannon? Like she was like always a couple years younger than me and she was like super cool. Like we were like friends. She dated a couple of my friends and like I always like thought she was like she's a very attractive girl. I always kind of had a mini crush on her. I don't want to say crush on her, but she was always like adorable. Just a sweet, fun Cali girl. We went to high school there. And then she came to see me in Hawaii. I performed in Hawaii. She was living out there. She came to LA and like her and Brett Ernst were kind of like What was that?
She came to Hawaii to see you.
No, she was living in Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and then like I had a show and she was like standing by the stage, like this. And I'm like, cool. But we're always, we're super friends. She's a really, really cool girl. I may edit out the part where I had a crush on her. My wife might see this and be like, what the fuck?
Podcasts.
Yeah. I think we may have to start this over again. All right, let's take it here. My friend Shannon was on it. My friend Shannon Curry, like, dude, I was like, super good friends with her in high school. Like the psychiatrist. She's I
noticed.
A very, very attractive girl. She's like the nicest, sweetest girl. I didn't realize how good of a psychiatrist she was. She just blew everyone out of the water. And
who was she for? Who was she psychiatristing for?
She spent 15 hours with Amber Heard and did a whole bunch of tests on her. And basically said she's bipolar, she's manic, she's like just like tore her to pieces.
Oh, wow.
Like And then everyone's like, I love this psychiatrist. I'm madly in love with her. I'm standing her. I'm like, that's Shannon. I knew her when she was like 14 years old. Like literally, I went to boarding school together for like the Hyde school. And she's always cool. She came and saw me in Hawaii when I did comedy and this and that. But I was like, and then I looked at her and I like immediately felt like a complete loser. Cause I'm like, man, this girl is like a doctor dealing with veterans with the Johnny Depp trial, this and that. I'm telling dick jokes in the bottom of a ship. But like what am I doing with my life? Like, has it ever happened to you? You see someone else that you started with or whatever, and like you're just like, I'm a total failure.
Well, I think when I was a freshman, Ted Cruz was a senior at Princeton.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he cool? Were you friends with him?
I met. Yeah.
Even like actors, like or comedians, like I used to tour with like Theo Von. You know, like me, I used to give Theo thousands of spots at the Bruco or Whitney Cummings. I give her all that. And I look at their homes now and like what they're doing. And I just like, I'm like,
yeah, but doesn't give you any solace that they're both like suicidal. Doesn't make you feel better.
You know, I start playing that game of like, well, look, I got a wife and I got a kid and I'm happy and I have a house and look, and it's not a race and have blinders on and don't compare yourself to others. But then like, that's almost like makes it worse. Like, it's like almost like the person who's telling themselves that they're doing okay, you know, like, so I have to not care at all.
That's what life is. People telling themselves that they're okay until they die because they're doing too. They're telling, you know how it is. Like when you know people like at that level and you get really close to them, you realize like, holy shit. Cause we've both been close to people who are very, very famous.
Dude, there are people out there that have like 100 times the career that I've ever had that I wouldn't try place with them for one day. Like literally one day. Like I know them and they have nobody that really likes them.
Yeah.
Like nobody is actually like their friend. Everyone wants something for them. Everybody like is using them and their houses look like display houses.
Yeah.
Like they don't look lived in. Like, you know, like my house is a mess, but you know, there's like a lot of love and like madness in this house, you know, versus like
have a pretty fucking great life, Adam. Do you not have people telling you that? Your daughter is beautiful and so sweet and cool. You're lucky. Your wife puts up with your fucking craziness. You get to perform a lot. You're very respected as a comic.
I do, but like I'm in therapy once a week, and I have to like look at that and be like, yes, because I always wait for I always go yes, but she's 3 now, my daughter, and when she's 10, she's gonna think I'm a total asshole, or 8, or I go yes, but. I'm not doing it on my own. My wife also provides a lot of this, you know, or yes, but you know, my stepmom died and left me a little money. You know, it's always like, I have to not look at that, but that's always my problem. It was always like, I have to win the States. And then if I didn't win this, and I won the States, I go, I have to win the Nationals. Otherwise I'm not shit. And then if I don't win, it's like, there's always that yes, but, and yes, I have to actually work on that because it's a form of like, it can lead to depression of like, feeling like you're not good enough and like, yeah, oh yeah, this is good, but this is not real. You start doubting everything. Like my wife loves me, but she loves me today. Is she gonna love me tomorrow?
Probably not.
Or so anyway, Tall Steve is here. He's a guy who's undefeated in Bellator. His last fight was supposed to be his biggest challenge. He fought a guy that had all kinds of experience, was a PFL dude. It was supposed to be like the big step up. And Tall Steve just fucking demolished him. It wasn't even close. Ran through him again. How many? What is it? 11-0 now?
10-0, I think.
10-0. How many first round stoppages?
I don't remember. 7, 8.
7. I mean,
no, 8. 8. All but 2.
Are you the most slept on fighter in the history of fighting right now?
I don't know.
By the way,
it'd be nice if I had some more Instagram followers, I guess, but
I feel like I don't want to bitch on Bellator. We do it every time, but I do feel like they have another guy, Joey, who was like undefeated in college. The guy was undefeated. Joey Davis is another guy who's undefeated in Bellator. He was a 4-time. He never lost in college.
Undefeated NCAA or Division two guy.
And you never hear about him. Like if I'm Bellator, I'm going, we got a good-looking, tall, white heavyweight who's fucking 10-0. We got to get him on the main card. We have a guy who's a 4-time national champion, never lost in college. Like I'm pushing you guys to the front. Man. But
I think I came in at a really interesting time in the discussion because we talk about like what you're saying, like what you were saying before, especially about like recognizing the good things that happened to you in spite of everything not being perfect. And I try to be there too. And I think the best part about this, like what's interesting now, I should say, is that we live in a time where even like right now the political climate is so weird, and we're like right on the precipice of World War III, and it's interesting that like life really is at a time like we're at a very interesting point in human history. And I was like, I can't wait to get on the phone and make shitty puns about MMA fighters.
Dude,
but no, and to build on what you said, it's very interesting. Like I always think before I do, especially your show, I always think like, okay, don't take yourself so seriously. Let's go on there, have fun. But then I get on and you're talking about a very, something is very near and dear, or at least you made yourself very vulnerable just now. And it's very admirable of you to be able to do that, come on and mention very personal things that are near and dear to you. But yeah, I don't know, to build on what you said. Yeah, it's, I wish I was rich, and I wish I got offered, 4 fights a year and I got paid $1 million a fight. And I don't know. But as for me and like the hand I've been dealt, I can't be too upset.
Well, you're doing everything right though. I mean, everything you're doing is right. Like literally you're going in there and you're beating guys in 1 minute, in 2 minutes, and you're the heavyweight. And you started late. I mean, we talked about like, I was thinking about Luke Rockhold, who used to bully you. Were you on that show, Bill?
With Luke Rockhold?
Yeah, Luke Rockhold tortured this guy. He was like always making fun of him because he was an amateur and Luke was the man and this and that. And I'm like, man, like if Luke could see you now, I mean, so by the way.
So can I tell you something funny actually? So Luke came to visit us maybe if it was a week ago, it was 6 months ago, but it was somewhat recently, like maybe since my last fight. And he came into the gym and I had to shit really bad. Like one of those, like you don't know if you're going to make it or not kind of things. Like I had too much coffee or something. So whatever, I run right past him as I'm walking in, and maybe for the first time ever, Luke made eye contact with me and said hello. And I'm like holding my guts, like trying not to shit in my pants before practice. And I look at him and give him like one of these, and I bolt right past him into the bathroom or whatever. So whenever I go, I take the biggest dump of my life. I come out and I start getting ready for training. And Henry's like, yeah, whatever, gave me Luke's really upset that you didn't say hello to him. I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, Luke just said like, Luke was pissed that you didn't say hello to him. I was like, I did say hello to him. I like said what's up to him as I walked past him. And I guess what makes it worse is like, maybe a month before that, I had texted him just to say, hey man, like hope everything's, I saw something about him on Reddit about how like he'd had just pulled out of his fight with Sean Strickland. And I texted him, hey man, just hope everything's good. Want to make sure you're all right. Never got a text back. I mean, I'm not too mad. Like I guess if something happened serious enough for you to pull out of a fight, then like I text from whoever is, I mean, whatever, like I get it. But yeah, I was like standing there a little bit dumbfounded, like, how was he gonna be pissed off that like I didn't stop everything I was doing and say hello, but like he couldn't even have the decency to text me back like a month ago? But whatever.
I know he's gotten really into like mushrooms. Like he's like him and Rashad Evans are like really into microdosing. Really? I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I know Rashad won his last fight against Checkout, and I was like, man, I was worried about Rashad for that fight because he was lost 5 fights in a row or something. He was not, and he looked great other than his pants falling down. His shorts fell down and you could see his tie cup. Hung on, but that was the best Rashad we've seen in a long time.
Yeah. And it was good to see him. It was good to see him competing in a way that was like effective, like really good against like he was grappling well against a good grappler. It was.
How old is Rashad now? he like
30, 38, maybe.
Gotta be maybe even 40. He was. I remember him bringing up your name, by the way, because like it was a fight that like he got like murdered, and I was like, "Oh, who did you train with?" He was like, "Oh, I brought in Tall Steve." I go, "What? Fucking Tall Steve? Like that's who you bring into like
Anthony Smith."
Yeah, it was. He
His last fight in the UFC. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, man, and it was one of those fights where in slow motion, because like Rashad Evans is one of those guys that like I hate to say it, not because I love the guy, but at his best, he's almost unbeatable. But then he kind of like hit a wall where he was like losing to guys like Sam Alvey and other guys where I don't think these guys would have lasted around with him in his prime. I mean, he was knocking out Chuck Liddell, you know.
And then you have to look at like nothing exists in a vacuum, right? It's like you look at who these guys were in the timeline of their career versus who Rashad was in the timeline of his career. And I'm with you there. Like you won't really ever hear me talking shit about Rashad, but that at that like juncture of his career, all these people were like doing their absolute best. And I mean, Rashad, like I said, not speaking ill of him, but was in the twilight of it. So it's what makes it interesting too, is that like you throw them in there with like your Sam Alveys, your Dan Kelly's. It's like, okay, these are guys that are like that. A lot of good fighters have gone in there and looked not so good with.
Right. Yeah, those awkward guys are the hardest to fight.
And then to cap it off with Anthony Smith is like, okay, we have all these guys that are like just your gritty, weird, awkward, make every fight a weird fight. And then you have Anthony Smith, who, if you look at where he was in his career, that's kind of like what started his ascension into what he is now, you know?
Yeah, he's a guy that like literally I remember having him on the podcast when he was in Victory Fighting Championship.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck yeah.
And he texted me afterwards and he's like, "Thank you for giving a shit about my fights." And nobody ever. He told me that he told me his hardest fight ever was the methed out guy that came into his house. You hear that story?
Yeah. Where he's like fighting him in his living room for like an hour or something.
Some guy went to rob him, and the guy was on like the guy was like a high school wrestler, like a stud. We just went on this like 4-year meth binge. And shows up at Anthony Smith's house, and Smith barely won. Like he said that like he teep kicked him like 8 times in the face, and the guy was not going anywhere. He said that was the hardest. Fuck, man.
It was as if I always joke around and say like, if I were the emperor of the world, I would make this matchup, and I feel like God himself was like, this is the matchup I'm making right now. Anthony Smith versus some methed out ex-college star athlete.
Dude, I remember Mayhem was like that. There was a girl, when Mayhem was dating a girl in Hawaii, and he came into her, and like, Mayhem's one of those dudes, like, relationships are not his friend. Like, when he gets upset, you ever meet one of those guys that, like, talk about their ex, and then something weird in their eye goes off, like, you could be like, oh, fuck, like, this is not going to go well. Like, you ever know those guys? It's and unfortunately, Mayhem's one of those dudes that, like, he just couldn't let shit go. So he took.
Where is he? Is he still in Mexico?
He's in jail looking at like a lot of time.
Jesus.
But it was Hawaii, and he broke into his ex-girlfriend's house, and she was with her new boyfriend, and the boyfriend kind of beat him. Like he wasn't expecting that. He said the guy came out of like nowhere. Like he thought it was just gonna be her and the boyfriend. And then like you never know. I guess it was like kind of like the fact that Mayhem didn't kill him, because everyone looks at fighters as like superhuman.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like when Don Fry got into a fight with that guy from Hawaii. You ever see that like bar fight he got into? He was like stumbling out, and some fucking surfer guy like knocked him down, and then he got back up. Or that BJ Penn thing. I remember BJ Penn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Steve.
Conor McGregor sucker punched a 60-year-old man at a bar, and the guy just looked at him funny.
Is there a lot of like mental health resources for fighters? Like, is it a focus? Because for comics, you remember for a while at the Laugh Factory, Adam, we had like a psychiatrist like on staff.
Yeah, I know, but I thought people were just going there to get spots. Like they wanted to be seen at the Laugh Factory, so they go to the side. I'm like, dude, I'm not. I can't. There's only so much, But
I think comics are like, we're all fucked up. A lot of us have issues, but fighters, there must be a lot of that. But are people ashamed to talk about it? Is it something that's discussed a lot in the fight community, or is it hidden?
That's the thing. I'm sure it's the same for you guys, in that it's like it's like a self-imposed stigma almost, like
no, for us, it's cool to be fucked up. Like, hey man, I want to commit suicide. Here's my special about it.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like, sometimes it's not always so drastic as suicide. It's like, yeah, I just feel sad. And it's like, you just feel sad sometimes. Like you just feel sad. And it's like, there's nothing glamorous about it. It's just like, it doesn't manifest itself to the point where you want to, kill yourself, or at least maybe you're not at that point yet, but it's like, I don't know, maybe you don't want to get out of bed for 3 days. And it's not that it's every bit as valid as, a very serious crisis. It's just that like, it's sort of tough to talk to your friends about because, like once you make it to the news, it's, oh, he was such an upstanding young gentleman. He's such a nice guy, but whenever you brought it up and said, yeah, man, my girl and I are fighting about some shit. And we're not, whatever. Like I went through some things in my childhood that are starting to manifest themselves now. And like, I never properly dealt with it. And it's just tough for me, or self-worth issues. You could list out, a whole grocery bag of things. And it's like, it's never, nobody ever champions a cause, whenever you're actually going through it. It's whenever you make it to the news because they found you dead with, a fifth of Jack and pills in your system.
Well,
yeah.
To answer your question, yeah, I've sought out mental health professionals, a handful of times. I went through, when I first started getting serious with my fiance, we saw a premarital counselor for the better part of a year. And I say the better part of the year, and it was mostly because it was me trying to like just work through shit and like figure out, just because, I don't want to go the route of our parents, like the high divorce rates, raising kids in broken homes and, giving them weird, like shitty relationships to kind of base what they think a relationship should look like on. And even before that, we had a lady who, like you said you had a guy on staff. I met a friend who trained at the gym. She trained at like just your average, the gym side of it, like that everybody goes to side, the civilian side. And I found out she was a mental health professional. And just one day she was like, yeah, like if you ever felt like you or any of the guys ever needed to talk, like we could sit down and talk. And I I think the next week was like, yeah, I have some things that I've been thinking about for a while. And I saw her for probably 4 or 5 months. I was talking to her pretty regularly. And it was, like you said, it's like, it's one of those things that like, it's the self-imposed stigma. And then it's like, well, I don't want people to think I'm a pussy, but at the same time too, it's like, it's hard to broach subjects with your friends because whether they mean to or not, they'll like invalidate it or diminish it, or, that's not that big of a deal, or whatever. And it's like, just because it's like not an immediate threat to like your life doesn't mean it's not a big deal. It's just that it's like, well, no, like I want to talk about it. And then I think the highest, most actualized form of this is that it's like, sometimes you don't always need advice, or you don't really need perspective. Sometimes you just need to like say things, and you get it out there in the universe, and you just, you need somebody to acknowledge that they had heard you and that they understand you, and that, your problem isn't like this schizoid fantasy. It's just, you need somebody that you love and respect to look at you and say, yeah, like I get what you're going through, and not to give you advice or whatever, try to spin it like, well, what I think you should do. It's just, just say, yeah, I love you, man. I love you. And I respect you. And I heard what you had to say. And, no matter what you're going through, I'm always going to be here for you.
What's up, people? Football might be over for the season, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. From the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. Now head over to their website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code CLNS50 to get started. It's not just basketball. BetOnline is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage. And it's the best in the business, okay? From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, that was the hard part about COVID for comedians, especially because as a comic, most comics, you're giving up money, you're giving up your life, you're giving up your family, you're giving up relationships, because all you're doing is like, I got to make it as a comic. And a field that there's less professional comedians than there are professional baseball players. I mean, it's just such a hard to make a living at it. But at the end of the night, you get the laughs. You get validated by laughter. Like people like, oh, great set. That was so funny. And that is like no matter how bad your fucking life goes, at nighttime, you get laughter. You feel like, oh, I'm doing something good with my life. Even if it's the same joke you did the last whatever. Well, now COVID hits and now people are sitting home and they have no family, and they have no money, and they have no relationships, and they have no kids, a lot of them. And now there's no laughter. So now you're just like, the fuck did I do? Like, I just gave up everything and I have nothing to show for it. So when comedians were going through depression or killing themselves, I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because you're looking around and you're getting money from the government, a lot of them. You're getting money to do drugs or to drink or this, that. So I hear you. I think as a fighter also is you put everything in your life into it. And then when you're done fighting, first thing people say is, oh, when's your next fight? Are you going to come back? Yeah. So they ask you that and you miss that high. That like, or you get knocked out in 37 seconds. And you feel like you spend your whole life, giving up everything for a fight that you got, leg locked and this.
And then you wake up in the locker room and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it is very similar. What do you think of Bill, the Chappelle thing that happened?
Oh, I mean, that guy was going. Are you talking about the double leg that the guy went for? I think he has. He was doing it properly. Dave Chappelle, his takedown defense is pretty good, I thought.
It was, but then he fell the second time. He fell on it was like a weird scramble. But then Busta Rhymes and Jamie Foxx kicked the shit out of the guy in the back. His arm is completely fucked.
Yeah,
and they handcuffed that arm too. I don't understand. Like that guy must have spent $1,000 on tickets. Like how did he get up there? How did he get so close where he's able to get on stage?
He got past the metal detector too with the knife thing, the gun or the knife.
Why would you have a gun that turns into a knife?
Have you seen a picture of it?
Yeah, but
it's like a gun, but out of the barrel is like this, a knife. It's.
I mean, is that to like hide the knife with a gun? It makes no sense.
Well, the gun, like I'm going to get you, and the knife comes out like that.
It's like the carrot top of fucking. I mean, it made no sense.
The carrot top of terrorists.
Yeah, and the guy, somebody on my Instagram put like, oh, I produced that guy's rap song. I should release the album or something. I guess.
Are you joking?
No, the guy's a rapper. But yeah, I'm like, why are you telling me this? What do you want from me? But either do it or don't. But yeah, he produced the guy's rap album or rap song.
I'm just glad Dave Chappelle's safe, and I'm glad that the guy was black because if he was white, we'd have to hear about white supremacy for the next 2 weeks. So
or if the guy was trans, remember that? Imagine that happened. The trans. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh God.
That's what Dave said. He goes, "That was a trans man."
This is ridiculous. Now, all right, a couple MMA news that went on. It got announced today that July 4th, that weekend, it's going to be the rematch of Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. Their third fight. I thought Max won the first two, so I'm happy about this. He gets to redeem himself. I know for the last fight, he said he didn't actually train. It was during COVID. He was trained on Zoom. I don't even know how you even do that.
He was playing video games, like he was playing the UFC game to like give him ideas for combinations.
Really? Are you serious? Is that what he said?
Oh yeah.
Oh my.
He said he would have Renan Barao and Jose Aldo fight each other in the game, and that's how he would like come up with combinations from that.
That is so funny. I hope Max wins this fight. I really do. I've always been a Max fan. Not that I don't know Volkanovski. He's like a nice guy too. Who do you think wins the fight, Steve?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going to have to go with Volkanovski there, just because I'm with you. I'm with you in the sense that it's like I really think Max, especially the second fight, I thought Max won. The first fight is tricky. Second fight, I thought Max won. But I think if it's just with like the passage of time, I really think that like Volk like has his feet firmly planted where he's at, and he's shared enough time with him now that he has it figured out. He has the game on that kind of thing.
Right, Bill.
I mean, I like Holloway. He's recently engaged. He's got things look up in his life. He looks like
he's married. He got married.
He's also one of those guys that when he first came out was like texting me all the time, DMing me, come on the show. Now I can't get a hold of the guy.
Now you can't. Yeah, now he doesn't text you back.
Yeah, never responds. Like his ex-wife was a big fan of mine. Maybe that was it. Maybe he doesn't want. Maybe I reminded his ex-wife. But
he doesn't
yeah,
want to take his current wife. Huh?
But him and Colby too. Colby doesn't get back to me either.
Really?
Yeah, I mean he will kind of sometimes, but like I don't know. Like I know he's going through some shit. Though he's suing Masvidal for brain damage.
Oh shit! Like I didn't know that.
His tooth got knocked out. I think it was a fake tooth. I'm pretty sure it was because it like
a cap.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a cap. Because I think
it looks like a cap, like the way it's cut and everything.
But now he's suing for brain damage. So I guess he's not racist anymore. So that's I guess not kidding. But so now I mean, what Masvidal did sucks.
Of course.
Jumping a guy outside of a restaurant with two of your friends, punching him in the face, posting about it. It's like, bro, you had 25 minutes to do that. Couldn't do it. I don't think anyone's looking, except for those idiots on Instagram. They're like, talk shit, get hit. Or like, like those people that like, like, welcome to the real world, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I don't think anyone's signing with Masvidal on this. But what do you think is going to happen? Is he looking for a payout, a settlement? Or what do you think Colby's looking for?
I don't know.
I want to hear you say.
Bill?
What is Colby looking for?
Yeah.
I think he just probably wants to ruin him.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that guy. I would want to ruin him too. I've heard that Chris Rock is going to finally sue Will Smith. And that's the news now, because eventually you're like, oh, I'm okay, I'm a man. But then you're like, fuck that guy. That's awful. It's whatever you say, it messes up his reputation, his, you know what I mean? The fact that he got beat up in a parking lot, it doesn't look good for him, regardless of the brain, the tooth, everything else. It's just like a bad thing to have on defining your life. Same with Chris Rock. Like, he doesn't want to be remembered for the slap. Fuck Will Smith. I would sue for every maximum dollar I could get for both of those cases.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, I'm with you not only in principle but in practice. In that, I remember. Yeah, I mean, the clip of Jim Carrey going around summed it up pretty well. In that, like, we live in a time where, like, we pretty unilaterally can say whatever we want, as long as whatever, as long as it's not. He didn't make a direct threat to Will Smith's life. Like, I don't understand why the fuck he got up on stage and punched him. So yeah, I would, especially Will Smith, I'd have sued him for every penny I could get. But as for Colby and Masvidal, it's not so much that I'm mad at, it's not that I think that Colby should be trying to get money. It's more that I'm shaking my head at Masvidal and like, dude, what the fuck, man? Like, get over it now. Like you said, beyond the 25 minutes thing, it's like, all right, dude, like, you said your piece, you fucking fought. Like, what else do you have to do? Like, I don't know. I'm with you there. I would just sue the piss out of him. So
now they're saying Colby might fight Gilbert Burns, which would be a good fight. Burns looked great against Chimaev. I mean, I did not see that happening that way.
Like some of the best fighting I ever fucking seen in my life. Oh my God. I had so much fun watching that fight. I mean, I'm obviously a little bit biased, but like, still, that was some of the best fighting I'd ever seen put in the fucking cage.
I think in a 5-round fight, it was 3 rounds, right? In a 5-round fight, I think Chimaev wins. I mean, I think Burns wins.
Really?
Yeah, I think Burns was on. Like, I think that if Chimaev fights that way, he made him look human for the first time. Now they're saying allegedly, like, some UFC documents got leaked last week, and all these fights got announced. We don't know who leaked them or whatever.
So what it was? Do you know what it was actually?
What was it?
It was a video, right? So it was a podcast, had Dana White as a guest, and they were walking through his office. And then in his office, he has like boards, right? Like probably 12 events in advance of every fight card. And I'd imagine that, a lot of the cards, especially farther down the line, are matchups that haven't been finalized, just what they have, projected. And they ended up catching, a few stills of somebody panning across the board with the matchups that haven't been made yet.
Oh, wow.
So that's why it's, that's why people are so, like, resolute in their their speculation, is because, like, well, hey, look, Dana White had this on his fucking wall. That in this, not just that, they had a lot of really cool ones. They had, like, Sergey Pavlovich versus Derek Lewis. They had that's where Chimaev and Nate Diaz was posted at. It was like,
yeah, Chimaev, Nate Diaz. First of all, I think it's a great fight for Nate Diaz because if he wins that fight, he's back. I mean, not that he's not back, but he's back. I mean,
right.
If
he's right back in the mix there. Yeah.
You think he can win that fight?
I mean, he looks like the biggest badass in the world taking the fight. I think if he just takes the fight, it's a win for him because no one's going to expect him to win. Because
but it might be the first time he gets knocked out too.
He's been knocked out before by what's his name?
Josh Thompson was the last guy.
Thompson with a head kick. Back in the day. But I think do I think Nate Diaz could win? I mean, the fan in me says yes, of course, because he'll fucking get him into some kind of either if he gets taken down, he'll catch it with a triangle, or he'll do some weird shit where he'll go punch for punch. I mean, don't forget, Nate Diaz in the 5th round almost knocked out.
Otter.
Yeah, right. So, but
your heart says yes, your head says no.
Realistically, I mean, this dude's young, hungry, no fucking mileage on him.
When was the last time you saw Nate Diaz really perform? And I'm not talking about like had a moment. I'm talking about perform.
Oh, the Anthony Pettis fight, right? He like put it on Pettis.
Okay, but we want to call that performing. We're gonna call that like I'm not talking about like showed up and got the win. I'm talking about like fucking fought out of his skin. And this, I'm with you.
Conor McGregor won, maybe?
Probably. I'd have to agree with you there. Yeah, probably. But like, that's not to say Nate Diaz sucks. It's just that it's like, okay, well, if I'm thinking like practically, and I'm thinking about what wins fights, like, bro, Nate Diaz, every time he comes out now, it's like he lands 1 or 2 really good ones, and then like the rest of the fight he's showboating or flicking the guy off, and I fucking love it. I love it, man. I'm here for it. I'm just saying that, like, how do you expect me to put my chips down on the guy, you know?
No, it's kind of like Mike Tyson, where like you remember the best of Mike Tyson.
Right.
You always forget the Tyson that lost to Peter McNeely, or the Tyson that got beat by, Danny, whatever his name is, Danny Green. Yeah. You remember the Mike Tyson same with the Diaz brothers. Like you remember the best of them. You forget. They also like life caught up to them a little bit. Like you can't.
Oh, for sure.
Back in the day, I feel like fighters back in the day could like party. Back in the Kevin Randleman days of the Rampage or the Tank Abbott, and even Don Fry. It's now you got to be a full-time fighter. You got to just.
But that's the thing though, is that like at that time in the sport, it was a bunch of regular dudes trying to compete with like fucking stud athletes who were a lot of them Kevin Randleman, juiced out of their fucking mind, who had like real skill sets, and Kevin Randleman, Don Fry were good wrestlers. Then you had, a little bit later on, but like the Diaz brothers had jiu-jitsu and they could box a little bit. It was like, and it's, you have to say that like, okay, but like for how much the game has evolved, for the Diaz brothers to have stuck with it as much as they did is pretty special. The
last fight was rough though. The last one, the Robbie Lawler fight, as great as the fight that was, that was rough to watch. I mean,
but same with Robbie Lawler in that instance though. It's like he's been sticking with the game as it's evolved, and his I won't talk bad about Robbie either. But you have to, Robbie though, like he's closer to the end of his career than he is at the beginning. But for him to have stuck around and competed as well as he has in his last several fights is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, no, that fight I was picking Nick Diaz to win. I'm like, Nick's gonna win, and I mean that was a great fight, but it was like two guys that are like not in the
right. Two guys like a legacy kind of deal, like
100%. Now, other fights that are coming this week, by the way, do we have Charles Oliveira or do we have
Justin Gaethje? And I don't know. That's like such a tough one because like, damn shit, that's so tough. Because like Oliveira's like been on a fucking tear and he looks so good, and I really feel like he's as complete as he's ever been, but like I don't know. I really don't know. That's so tough.
Well, I mean, I just feel like no one at some point he's getting your back and it's done. Like how can you for an entire fight prevent him from getting your back at this point? He's gotten so good at that.
Michael Chandler got out.
But Gaethje, I don't understand. He was the 2-time All-American wrestler. He has not taken one takedown attempt in any of his fights. Like you would never know.
Yeah, it's. I think that's such a misnomer though. That like people keep bringing that up, but it's like, bro, I've never like, he hasn't made that a factor in any of his fights, ever. So I don't understand why people keep bringing it up, and it's like almost irrelevant at this point. It's like George St. Pierre was a karate background guy, but like every fucking fight he had, somebody was on their back getting their face smashed, or their arm torn off or whatever.
Right. No, it's true. You just wonder, like, I just think he has ADHD. It's like I'm more venting my frustration at this point because I have a friend who says the same, a very close friend who always says the same thing. It's like, especially when he's getting ready to fight Khabib, he was like, well, he's a D1 wrestler. It was like, all right, bro, like, have you ever watched one of his fights? I know, but it's just, I was a D3 wrestler. I got a scholarship D1, but I didn't because I'm like, I don't want to fucking have to go through that. But when you're a D1 wrestler, it's your whole life. Like if you get to that point, it's 10, 12 years out of your life, 15 years where you're a professional wrestler. So to then all of a sudden just be like, abandon that and go punch for punch with every single person you fight is like, from a wrestling standpoint, you're like, it's like if Tommy Hearns or something went in and just went for takedowns.
Like, Tommy Hearns like went for like a scissor sweep or something like that.
Yeah, you're like, what the hell? I mean, you got to that point, but I understand it. I think that Gaethje has complete ADHD. Is one of those guys like, I don't care if I win or lose. I just want to have exciting fights.
Yeah.
So and that's worked for him. It didn't work for him at first. I mean, when he got taken out by Poirier twice, I was like, you know what? I don't know if Gaethje, if just the level of guys he was fighting in the WSOF were at this level. Because like Poirier beat him twice, and then he came back.
Twice? And then to be fair, Poirier beat Alvarez twice.
Alvarez. Oh, right. Alvarez twice. Right.
But no, so for him to lose to Eddie Alvarez and then Poirier, I think that's what you were saying.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with you there. It was like, it was like he was like shot out of a cannon almost. Like he had his first fight. Him and Michael Johnson had a fucking awesome fight, and like it almost looked like he was stalling out a little bit. Like he'd hit his learning curve. But that's the funny thing about like dudes at that level that's what I'm learning about dudes at that level is that like the progression of skill, like you really need to have a moment like that where you have everything. We can probably do a whole fight.
Michael Johnson's the most frustrating fighter in the world. Because
Michael Johnson is, I don't care what anyone fucking says. Michael Johnson is like one of the most exciting, like physics breaking fighters to ever exist.
I love Michael Johnson. He's got a win over, a Ferguson back when Ferguson like
fucking Dustin Poirier knocked him out cold. And not just like one of those things where he got him like outclassed Dustin Poirier and then put his ass to sleep.
Yeah, Michael Johnson's the truth, but he's one of those guys that like wins every minute until he loses 5 seconds fight and gets some, and you're just like, come on, dude.
I'm good buddies with Michael Johnson. And like, even whenever I don't spar, like if I'm hurt or like whatever, I'm sick, I make sure to go to practice. And almost every time I go and I watch sparring and I can't spar, I catch myself watching Michael Johnson. That's, we're talking about a room with, I'm talking Tyrone Spong could be there. Rumble could be there. Michael Chandler could be, you name it. Of all the guys that train at our gym, it's Michael Johnson's the guy that I catch myself, like craning my head to look at kind of thing. And he's just, he's a fucking stud, man. It's not that
he brought this hot girl to my comedy show, right? And she wasn't wearing underwear. And like, she's like, I'm looking at her vagina. Like she's wearing like a skirt where her vagina keeps flashing me. And I want to be like, hey, bro, like, you like your girl. I don't want, but I'm not. I don't want to even think that I don't
want to look.
Yeah,
I don't want to run it.
Yeah, I didn't know what to say. I was like, I didn't know, but I wanted to tell him, but I didn't want him to think that I was looking at her vagina. So I just left it. I'm sure maybe he'll see this and laugh, hopefully, or be like, dude, what the fuck?
I'm gonna tell him.
It was in Arizona. You ever have a girl? Meanwhile, my daughter, who's like 3, I get her this dress, and she comes home from school. I'm like, oh, she's like, it kept falling down, and everyone saw my boobies. And I'm like, oh God. And then Bree's like, that's okay. We all have boobies. I'm like, No. We can't show people our boobies. I don't care. Like if she's 3 years old.
Oh yeah. I was my daughter. We took her swimming the other day, and the missus got her like a bikini, and I was like, "What are you doing putting a bikini on her?" And she was like, "She's a baby, dude. Relax." And that was the thing, is like the logic of it was there. I was like, "Yeah, you're right. She's a baby." But still, I don't know. I guess.
Oh no, I took her to a concert. I took her out of school into this like kids concert, like called Twinkle Time, then to a museum. We had cupcakes. We had the best day. But she just at the end of the night, we're like at a restaurant, and she's like, "Daddy, let's tell jokes to each other." I'm like, "Okay." She goes, "I'll go first." She goes, "What did the cow say?" I go, "What?" She goes, "Oink, oink." Like she doesn't get.
Yeah.
But I just start dying laughing because it was like she knows how to punch it. She's got good delivery. She just doesn't understand why something's a joke.
Yeah.
Like she gets punched.
Work on your delivery, kid.
Her delivery's there. It just doesn't understand why something's a joke.
Need some new material.
Yeah, but then she has some funny jokes though. She says, she said, "How does Santa Claus clean his hands? With sanitizer." So I thought that was good. Somehow got that. So all right, now as far as Michael Chandler, that's your teammate. He adopted another kid.
Yes.
Now, are these kids? Where are the kids? Where's he getting these kids from? Are they from Africa?
I don't know.
Because I don't want to be like they're black, so I assume they're African. I'll get people yelling at me. But it's adorable. I mean, he's like the greatest guy ever. Michael Chandler's he's like a human being that like I aspire to be like. Michael Chandler, he's always been that guy too. He's like always just been like a nice, like driven human being. What's it like having him practice with?
Full disclosure, I don't personally practice with him. But I mean, he's good for the gym. He brings a lot of guys up. He holds guys accountable. He obviously he's been fighting and training and competing at such a high level for such a long time that like any room that he's in is going to benefit from just being around him, kind of thing. Yeah. I'm not super close with him, but that's not because, not like I don't go out of my way to not be close with him. It's just, the curl of the bro. I have guys that I rolled and trained with for years that I never, had more than a passing conversation with. And then there's Michael Johnson, who I, have inside jokes with. You know what I'm saying?
Of course. How's Rumble doing?
He's another guy. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but he was, last time I saw him, it would have been like 2 months after the illness thing came out. He lost a lot of weight, but he was on the upswing, I think.
Yeah, he's a guy that like I still think he could have been champ. He
could have been one of the best ever, like one of the best, like one of the best doing it.
We're talking about Anthony Johnson, Bill.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What was his illness? What did he get sick with?
I can't remember for the life of me. I feel bad. I tried to talk to him about it, I think, and he was at the point at that stage where he was like, "Yeah, I'm just not sure. I'm just sick."
He got really big. Who knows? He got really big doing bodybuilding. I mean, he was a 170 pounder, but he never actually made 170. And then he went into like heavyweight, and he missed weight at like 205.
He went to he was at like 170, and then he took a middleweight fight, and then he missed weight for that, so he fought at like 195. They had him jump straight to 205. After 205, he went to heavyweight, and then he came back down and competed at 205 pretty regularly.
I mean, he would hit people, and they just went to sleep. Like he had the most. I remember he hit the Cormier fight, the first one. I couldn't believe how he was so close to finishing Daniel Cormier. And then they chose to wrestle with him, which was like, what is going on? I mean, but Rumble, I still think Rumble had the perfect, like if like you had him in the right space, could have beaten John Jones.
Oh, definitely.
I think he had all the things you need to beat John Jones. I feel like Rumble had it. But
when you think about like matchups and everything, I'm with you there, especially in this. So like Daniel Cormier would have been a tough match for anybody. It's just that like John Jones had had the perfect like anti-style for Daniel Cormier, like took Daniel Cormier out of his fight. Whereas Daniel Cormier was kind of that to Rumble. I think Rumble might have been that to John Jones, in that like he did things that John Jones might not have gotten a look of, and like we never really seen somebody do. And it's, I think I would have loved to see that fight.
I think also those big fights, when they have these big fights, it's like the big lead ups and the press and this.
Yeah.
Rumble's a pretty introverted guy. He's a pretty shy guy, actually. And I remember one time I made a joke about him and he like got mad and I was like, oh fuck, that's not the guy. So I called him up. I called him up at home. I woke him up. I'm like, hey man. And then we started laughing. And thank God, like he found it funny. It was like some girl liked him or something, and the girl had a lot of kids. And he's like, yeah, man, I saw those kids. And he goes, I moonwalked away from my phone, which I thought was like the funniest. Picturing him moonwalking away from his phone. I never heard anybody say that he moonwalked away from his phone. But yeah, man, he was man. All right, so Congo's fighting Bader tomorrow night. The first fight, I guess it was an eye poke or something, and it ended weirdly. This is a weird fight. Bellator. Ryan Bader's, but anyway, what I was saying is that I think that those big, heavy press conferences, all the media was not good for Rumble. He was a guy that if he was the third fight on a card or second fight or fifth fight or whatever, he would knock you the fuck out. It was those big events that I think got to him mentally, physically, wore on him, probably couldn't sleep, yada, yada. Like fighting Daniel Cormier at, was it MSG or something? It was just that's not fun for him. You know, because like Ryan Bader, he just fucking knocked the fuck out of Glover Teixeira. I mean, come on. And Bader's a champ for Bellator and Glover's a champ for the UFC. So Congo versus Bader. How old is Congo? Have you ever trained with Congo?
No, 40, 44, 46, one of those.
Wow.
I'm not joking either. Like
the first time I met him, he goes, nice to meet you. He goes, I'm gay. And I go, oh, okay. And he goes, just kidding. I go, what kind of fucking joke is that? It's like, okay.
Violet's like, this guy's the best.
Yeah, like I'd rather do the fucking cow saying like. I think Bader wins. I think Ryan Bader knows the only way he can lose this fight is by getting caught, and I think he just wrestle fucks him. Steve?
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah. And then and now Yoel Romero, who's even older. Then I mean, he's got to be like, both these guys, by the way, are like, they look like they're like 19 years old. Like they're physically ridiculous.
I mean, do they not test for juice in their promotion?
In Bellator? Yeah. Do you guys test, Steve?
I haven't been tested. So they actually had a guy, a heavyweight. He popped for something out of competition. Well, not out of competition. It was like a month ago, but they had a guy pop for something that was supposed to fight on this card. So,
was that Melvin Manhoof?
No, it was I can't think of he's a guy that fought in Russia forever, and he
one of those guys,
which makes sense. But he's a black guy that fought in Russia forever and was supposed to make his Bellator debut against Davion Franklin, and then he.
Oh, so they haven't. I'm happy because they need to test. This is getting ridiculous. So Alex Pelosi, who's 10-1, fighting Romero. Romero is probably going to lose this fight based on how he's been looking, but he's one of these guys that can end the fight so fucking quickly.
Yeah,
another guy that like can flick you in the ear, and it's just
he's just so like dynamic and violent and like.
Have you ever trained with him?
No, I met him one time. He's a lot smaller than I thought he would be in person. But maybe that's just like my own doing. You know, I'd always seen him on TV, leaping feet into the air, kneeing somebody in the face, kind of deal.
Nothing was more like sad when he knocked out Luke Rockhold and Luke got up and didn't know where he was. And he tried to hug him and like whisper in his ear. And Luke, and then Luke was like coming to his senses, like, what the fuck? I actually got Luke really well. I told you I went to the Tyson Ranch and they were testing everyone for COVID as you walk in. So I walk in and Luke's outside getting tested for COVID. I'm like, now you're valet parking? And he got so mad. He's like, it's pretty good. It was pretty good. Kayla Harrison, she's going for her $3 million in a row in the PFL this Friday night against Marina
Machnetkina.
Yeah, do we know this girl? Is she any good?
Yeah, we do. Marina Machnetkina. She's I think like the only one of like two in my whatever close to 8 years here in South Florida, we've had like two women who like regularly train with the team, and she's one of them. So she's a girl that like the dudes get pissed off training with her because they don't want to go too hard with her and hurt the girl, but anytime they let up, she fucking goes savage. So, but no, she's a guy that she's really carved a place for herself, which, isn't something that's easy to do for anybody, let alone a woman. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how she does.
Can she beat Kayla Harrison? Because
for sure.
But really,
yeah, she could.
well,
Whether she will or not, that's only they know that.
Kayla Harrison is looking like it's getting silly. It's becoming to the point where it's like maybe you got to put her against something's got to change because no one's even giving her a challenge.
Have her fight two girls.
Seriously, I think she could beat two girls.
Have her fight two atom weights or something like that.
Oh my God. I mean, I don't want to say have her fight guys, but I think she would beat a lot of guys, not guys in the UFC or Bellator, but I mean, maybe in like a LFA,
like an amateur or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, she's just fucking stacked. She's focused. She's smart. She doesn't party. She's
a mom. She adopted her sister's kids.
Yeah. She's like beyond nice. She's a role model.
Yeah. That's why I only ever heard good things about her. And that's the thing about the top team guys is it's wild that like we're all in such close proximity to each other. And like, I've ended up meeting a lot of them just, through friends or friends of friends, or like a lot of them did the show together and the show had just wrapped up whenever I got here. So it was like, I ended up meeting a lot of them just in passing. And it was like crazy how many of them I know. And Kayla's, not somebody I've had the pleasure yet, but I heard only good things.
Dude, her judo coach molested her and he's in jail. He molested like all these girls.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then she goes around giving speeches to people that have been victims of abuse. Like,
sexual assault survivors.
She's like a wonderful human being. Like,
yeah, that's awesome.
She's just like a good person. She was on Raya. She told us she was on Raya trying to get a date. A lot of guys are like super intimidated by her,
Of course.
Because it's like, yeah, I'm sure every guy's like, I could fuck you up, or saying some stupid shit, or they don't want to go out with her because she'll
beat their ass.
Ray Cooper is taking on Magomed Umalatov. Ray Cooper's an exciting guy to watch. I mean, he's a guy that's like a 500 fighter almost, and then he got in the PFL and started knocking everyone out. And there's a guy like, I don't know how well he would do in the UFC. Probably would beat a lot of guys in Bellator UFC, but keep getting those $1 million. Like, geez, why would you not?
Yeah. Has he won? I don't think Ray Cooper's won the welterweight tournament.
Oh, he won it at lower weight?
No, I don't think he has. So the first year, his like breakout year, where he like knocked out Jake Shields, he knocked out like a lot of those guys. He lost in the finals to like this Russian guy. And the Russian guy's like, if you think Ray Cooper's good, this Russian guy's like a freak, like badass dude. And I want to say maybe
he beat David Michal in the finals
last year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay. And then I don't know if he won it last year or not.
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure.
Did he?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the thing though, is like, I'm trying to think about all the people who did win it. And I'm not sure if it was him, but I don't know.
But how is the PFL in business? Literally, they were in 130th place in their time slot. They lost to like women's like bowling or something. And they're giving out millions of dollars. Like, they do no advertising. They keep moving dates. They went from Wednesday to Thursday to Friday without telling anybody. Like, whose money is this? Like, what?
Here we are talking about them though.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're talking about them, but no one else is. I mean, that's why they wouldn't become 130th place in their time slot.
Ray Seffo's for the Yakuza or something like that.
Ray Seffo's the best, but something's going on there. I mean,
Wiz Khalifa, the Pittsburgh rapper that whatever is bought in.
Yeah, they got Wiz Khalifa, and then they had Jeremy Piven was deciding who gets to the next round. They had the other guy that was the football player was involved. What's his name?
I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, it was him. Not Ray Rice. The other guy that was like, who's the other football player that was like stabbed somebody but got off, and he's like a Hall of Famer.
Ray Lewis?
Yeah, Ray Lewis. Jeremy Piven, Ray Lewis, and Tyron Woodley were the ones deciding who gets to the next round. Like I'm not kidding. They had like a starter league, and then it went to those three, and Piven, Lewis, and Tyron. But Tyron had to like admit that he lost Jake Paul and like address it before the show or something. Like, it was just some strange. All right. Anthony Pettis is fighting Miles Price. Rory McDonald is fighting Brett Cooper. Should be a good fight. I hope Rory wins. I like Rory McDonald. What a weirdo, but I like him. I mean, that dude he's just an odd guy. Like, everything about him is odd. The way he dresses.
You ever met him?
No. You met him?
Yeah, he trains with us sometimes.
Is that odd in person?
No, he's mad cool in person. He's very like soft-spoken, very low profile, but he's very cool.
Yeah, I don't know if he's that cool, but he's like, he wears weird suits, and then he's like always looking.
His affect is very like.
Oh God!
Especially in like in interviews, it's like.
But I heard they say he's the most awkward guy. Jake Ellenberger said fighting him was the worst because he does everything wrong, but you can't get his style. Like he's like everything is offbeat. Like he's frustrated him. Is that your experience with like training with him?
No, I mean, in my experience, I moved around with him like once or twice. It's never like real sparring. But like, I wouldn't say that it was like so wrong that I couldn't capitalize on it. It was more that like everything he did was so like technically conservative that it was like hard to get a bite on him, you know? Like you see a lot of these guys, you see a lot of dudes, they'll, you know, like Nate Diaz wants to get you riled up, wants to get you emotional, so you blow your wad and he takes advantage of you kind of thing. Conor McGregor's style is similar in that like he uses these weird, long, like rangy, the flashy kicks and shit to kind of get you off your rocker a little bit. And then when you overextend, he bombs you with the left hand, right? Rory McDiaz, he's like the antithesis of that, in that it's like everything he does is so like sharp and consistent and like conservative that there's no real space to like get him off of that. But like, you know, what the problem we see with Rory now is that like he doesn't always fight with the violence that he had, you know, from like like 2009 to like 2016. Rory was just so like violent and like mean and like, you know, any room that he had for being a little extra savage, he kind of like took away from. I was at that
Robbie Lawler fight. I was at the
second one.
I think I was at both of them, to be honest. And it was like insane. Like it was like Johnny Ward. I was, you were like, he's not going to come out. It's like watching a movie. It's like watching Rocky. It's just nonstop bombs. And you was like, I give Rory so much credit for that fight, but holy shit. He says that fight didn't take anything out of him, but how could it not?
Yeah.
I mean, how could it not?
And then they were at the gym together. Like seeing them at the gym together after that was so like surreal. Like those dudes try to kill each other, and here they are just. Well, they weren't like laughing, slapping each other's ass or nothing, but they were. It was cool to see them like interacting, having a conversation.
I remember Hector Lombard was like calling him out, and he was like, "I'm gonna beat him so bad, his mama won't recognize me," right? And I like posted that on Twitter, and and Roy writes, "That's not very nice."
Okay, Rory, thanks, man.
That's just Canadians, man. Canadians,
I guess.
This is fucking funny. So, all right, 2 more fights. Rose Namajunas this week versus Carla Esparza. I'm picking Carla for the upset. I don't know why.
You're picking Carla there.
Yes, I think that she's I don't know. I think Rose is. I don't know. The Rose is weird. Like I just feel like if anyone can break her, Carla's already beaten her once, and the whole Rose Pat Barry thing kind of weirds me out. To be honest, like even when
I saw that. I can't believe that's not getting more attention.
And then even when she was jumping up saying I'm the best, it was almost like she was like part of a cult. Like I know that it was like cool, but there's just something strange about. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. But I feel like Carla has been like left for dead. And almost like the best thing that happened for Carla's career was when Tatiana Suarez beat the shit out of her. Because since then she's been on like an upward like progression. Like she's just like, and that girl, by the way, Tatiana is a girl that no one's talking about. Like we're talking about Tatiana is undefeated, beat cancer, never lost a round, maybe arguably lost 1 round against what's the name's wife against Nunez, Nina Sarah. Is that your kid?
Yeah, she's weighing in. She's
wow. Oh my God.
She heard us talking about the girl fights and she was like, hold on, I have some things to say.
Yes. That kid is adorable. Congrats again.
How old is she?
She's I'm trying to think. Give me 9 months here. 9 months here. Yeah, 9 months.
I'm gonna tell you a story where I was doing a podcast. And I was talking to Ponzinibbio, and I couldn't understand him because his English isn't great. And it was like right after he won, it was a big podcast. and my kid's crying in the room. And I'm like, Eve Edwards was on the show with me. He was on in my house. I'm like, Eve, can you go change my kid's diaper? And he goes, okay. He goes to change the diaper. We have a baby cam. And my wife's texting me, who has our kid right now? And then, so I find a picture of Eve, like in his worst fight, bloody everywhere. I go, this guy. That's what she always says. Like one time I picked her up from school to go meet Mike Tyson because Cejudo was like, hey, want to meet Tyson today? I'm like, absolutely. And now she's like, you took our kid to meet Mike Tyson. It's like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Can I tell you a funny story about misconnections kind of deal? So back in the day, back in Pittsburgh, it was like Pittsburgh's best versus Ireland's best boxing. And back whenever I was still an amateur. And I didn't really put much like stock into it because I was like, bro, I don't really care about boxing anymore. Like I just box to get experience. Like I love it. I think it's awesome. But I was like, bro, I'm over it. Like I don't want to keep doing these horse and pony shows. I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna have like a dinner where like everybody gets together and we're all gonna sit down, eat, all that shit. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if that's for me, kind of thing. And then so I didn't go. I blew off this dinner. I found out later on that Mike Tyson was like a special guest that they invited because he was promoting the show like the next weekend in Pittsburgh, and broke my heart.
I can beat that story. I went to wrestling camp in Iowa for 2 weeks, Dan Gable's camp, and it was the week that NBA Jam came out, and I was obsessed with playing NBA Jam when I was getting my ass kicked, and I missed going to Dan Gable's house. I missed the bus to go to his house to see all his medals and everything, and I was playing NBA Jam. So see, it's even worse. All right. So
NBA Jam's the one where it's like 2 versus 2, right?
2 versus 2, and they had fireballs. And all right. So you're picking Rose.
I'm picking Rose.
All right. Bill, this week, Rose versus Carla.
I just love Rose. I just love me some Rose. I can't imagine her. I mean, I know she's like, I don't know. I feel like people always underestimate her. They always think she's going to lose.
Yeah. All right. Steve's kid thinks the same thing. All right, finally, Chandler versus Ferguson. I think 10 years ago, I would have picked Tony. 8 years ago, Tony. 6 years ago, Tony. This version of Tony, and I hate to say it because I like Tony a lot, I think Chandler wins.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to go Chandler there, yeah. And I mean, I'm with you there just because I'm with you in the sense that like Tony as of 4 years ago was like just really tearing through everybody. And now, and then to his credit though, I do think Michael Chandler is just so skilled, so athletic, so explosive.
The only thing is Chandler's dumb enough to get into a stupid punch for punch fight with him and can get hurt by him. Like if anyone could like go punch for punch, it's Michael Chandler. He's just one of those guys.
He's just one of them dudes.
OSP versus Shogun.
Oh wow, what a great fight!
I guess OSP, but the guy that like you never know which OSP's gonna show up. Shogun's old, but I don't think it's testing anymore. Like since COVID, I think Brazilians aren't getting tested. It seems like they all have like 6-packs now and are winning every single fight. Who do you like, Bill? OSP or Shogun?
Man, that's a tough one. I don't know. I gotta go with OSP. I used to love him, and then I was so disappointed.
Yeah,
you know,
Steve.
I'm going OSP there too, and not because I don't like Shogun. Just
Cerrone versus Joe Lozon is on this card.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like someone says like a Bellator card. I would say Lozon. I think Donald Cerrone, ever since he got into DMT and everything else, I think his mind expanded too much. I think he's not the same Cerrone as well. Steve?
Heart says Cerrone, head says Lozon.
And then also, any one of these stick out to you that you want to talk about, Steve? Randy Brown, Chaos Williams, Macy Chasen, Norma Dumont, Matt Schnell, Brandon Royval, Danny Roberts versus Trinaldo.
Danny Roberts all day.
Is he train with you?
Yes. I mean, pre-COVID, he was with us every camp, but then, once the pandemic came through, kind of.
Tracy Cortez versus Legato, Journey Newsom, who no one even believes is in the UFC. He happens to be a great guy, half black, just awesome dude. Grew up in like 3 different like shelters for kids. What they call like he just didn't even know his parents. Dad was a crackhead. He's now fighting Fernie Garcia. So I got to go. Hopefully Journey wins. And Lupi Godinez, who's fought like 17 times this year so far, taking on Ariane Canalosi. And so that's this week. Also Blagov Ivanov versus Marcus Rogero de Lima. You know those guys?
Yeah. I mean, Blagov Ivanov was like killing it whenever the WSOF, like just on fire. And he's one of those guys that was like, man, I wonder how he'd do against the top guys. It's just that like he got to like the UFC kind of late. And I mean, not to say he didn't do well. It's just that, he had a really tough go of things between like Junior Dos Santos, Derek Lewis, like all tough guys. That said, I think he's going to win here in a couple of days. I think he's going to beat De Lima. Nice.
Well, listen, enjoy the rest of your day. Love having you on the show, man. This podcast has been awesome. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
And let's know you next Fridays. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Appreciate it. Take care, guys.